Fall River has never had anybody get drafted in the NFL, and it's the first time ever. It was definitely a proud moment for the people here. They were excited about it. It never happened, and I don't know if it ever will happen again.
And so once Mark really gained the name recognition, it kind of brought a little bit of a spotlight to Fall River and, gee, who's this kid and where's he from?
Anyone who makes it to professional athletes is almost, to become a professional athlete, is almost nuts. I mean, they have to be driven beyond normal understanding.
And I remember being filled with such pride because I think it was a mini camp they had with their rookies, and they were asking Parcells about the guys who came in, and I remember the quote. He said, he said, "I'll tell you one thing." He said, "The guy from Richmond will go till he hears a glass break," and I remember thinking, like, what the hell does that even mean? But I guess it means like he'll literally just run through a wall.
It started off good, and then quickly I realized that I didn't have a lot of reps at linebacker, and it wasn't turning out the way I thought it was going to turn out. And, I go through training camp, and then I'm one of the last guys cut, and I went from the best place in the world, feeling amazing, walking on water, to absolute devastation. And this is the first time in my life I'm being told, like, I cannot play. It was like a very dark 24 hours, and I went from the worst place in the world, emotionally drained, crying, feeling horrible, like, okay, life is over, now I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then I get a phone call from Bobby Greer, who's the head of personnel for the New England Patriots, and the Patriots say they're going to bring me in and sign me.
Wow, right in the mouth. No chance. Nobody picked up the ball.
Mark Megna, the guy that says the cuts will be made on the basis of can you help the team win games. Well, plays like that help you win games. So his stock up tonight.
The feeling that was seeing him run out of field, coming out in that uniform. Look at this.
It is.
It's huge. It's big.
Hey,
get chills on ever just
again,
thinking about it.
When you're from the city, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I've got Fall River tattooed on my wrist. I got the Braga Bridge on the back of my arm.
Yeah.
When you're a Fall River kid, it's in your heart. It's tough to get rid of.
Too long after I got a chance to coach him with the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was you probably heard me yelling about it, from Ohio, because once I knew I had the privilege to coach this guy, most of the world knew about it. They would take 11 guys like him because he's a winner. He's everything you want. I mean, he's going to compete till he dies. His work ethic became one of legend. I had 2 first-round picks, Takeo Spikes and Brian Simmons, and a 3rd-round pick, Steve Foley, and so guys that had been drafted real high, but immediately, when they could feel, you feel Mark. Mark's got energy. Mark's got confidence. He's got competitiveness. Like I said, all the things you're really looking for in a player, he embodies and has as components of who he is. And our players felt it right away, and he immediately fit in. They loved the guy, and so we had him, and there was some concern on whether he can continue to play at a consistent and durable level, and we lost him. I really believe, had we been able to hold on to him, that he would have been have a huge impact on our team.
So I finished the season with the Patriots. I had a great experience. After the offseason, I come back to Foxborough, and I'm told I'm not going to be retained by the Patriots, and that was a bit disappointing, and I felt really down on it again. And it's such an emotional roller coaster. And I get a call from the general manager of the Montreal Alouettes, and he asked me if I'm still interested in playing football. And at that time, I didn't know a lot about the Canadian Football League, but he wanted me to come up there and go to camp with the Montreal Alouettes.
Montreal rocks. Best city in North America.
There's this
province called Quebec with its city called Montreal, which is uniquely French, and it gives it all its character.
We have quite a culture of joie de vivre. Like, we love to eat, drink, have fun, enjoy the city.
We have like in abundance, like the joy of life.
It quickly turned into the best city in the world. It's a very, very special place.
He walked into the hotel and I was with somebody, and I'll never forget this because he walks in and he has a little bit of a presence when he walks in somewhere, and I was like, who the hell is that? He walked in and he waited until I was done with my client and came over and introduced himself and gave me the biggest hug, and said, thanks for everything you do. And I'm like, who the hell does that these days? Nobody.
Me and Mark gelled right off the bat, and we started training together. Dude was wearing me out. His work ethic is just relentless, man, and it's just nonstop.
He would do anything that he possibly could do to win the football game.
When you had a guy that came in and really took it very, very seriously, it forced those kind of around him to kind of raise to his level, because if they didn't, then it made them look lazy, or it made it look like they didn't care, and can't win championships that way.
There was 17 defensive linemen there, 17. And I think they keep 4, actually 5, 3 Canadians and 2 Americans. Every guy was just let go by an NFL team. They're monsters, 6'5", 6'6", 280, 270. And at the time, I'm about 240 pounds, and probably the smallest defensive lineman they have there. But what I didn't know is that they got rid of the former coach. They had a brand new coach. It was Don Matthews, who was the winningest coach in CFL history. And he was just more interested in creating a culture and an environment of winners and highly motivated overachievers. He basically cut the whole team, kept a handful of guys, and wanted something different. And I was very fortunate to walk into that.
Our whole deal was we were going to make everything as simple as we possibly could to allow the players to play as fast as they could.
Chris Jones, and he brought excitement to, to Montreal. I mean, we would hold a team to like 80 total offensive yards. We would have like 8 sacks in one game. It would just be crazy. They throw that screen, Mark would be like, pow, he'd be gone. And before those guys get to the line of scrimmage, Mark's already tackled.
As soon as that ball was gone, he was gone. He gave tremendous effort.
And I said, man, this was crazy. Like, I'm loving this, man. You could just fly around with your hair on fire, That was a fit for us. It was great. Mark was always to the field, I was always to the boundary. And it was just like, they tried to sprint out, Mark would go up and down the right now, hit the quarterback, And if he missed him, I got him from behind.
When Mark joined the Owls, it was like, you could feel that there was a bunch of people that were getting together, that were gonna do something special.
We respected each other. We had a common goal. It wasn't a color thing. It was a championship. It was about football.
The way that defense worked was that guys would move around. They'd be playing different positions. You'd have, DBs playing linebacker. You'd have linebackers playing in the 3 technique. You'd have, linebackers coming off the edge. You'd have defensive ends dropping back into pass coverage. All stuff that we see now, but it wasn't as common, pushing almost 15 plus years ago.
He would even ask questions that he already knew the answer to, but he knew that somebody else didn't know the answer to. So he would bring it up because he knew the other person was probably a little bit nervous about looking dumb or whatever. And so Mark would ask the question so that would benefit. And he always used to make this little look. I can't even describe what the look was. And I knew what he was doing when he was asking the question, because when he finished the question, I could tell that he knew the answer. He was like making sure somebody else knew.
He just taught me a lot, man. He just taught me a lot about toughness, consistency, communication, accountability, tenacity. He just taught me so much, man. And we just became brothers, man. We did everything together.
It was hard to always kind of get a read of, was Mark happy, was Mark sad, or was Mark, he was just kind of intense all the time. You could see that intensity on the field. You could see that intensity on the sidelines. Like he, the way he would chase a play down from the other side of the field, it was, the fans didn't miss that. They saw it and they appreciated it, and he was a fan favorite.
So I remember spending a lot of time at a very popular restaurant called Buena Notte in Montreal.
Max and Mark met at Buonanotte.
And I ended up talking to one of the owners, Massimo Lekis, and he loved talking sports and he loved the inside scoop. And we would go back and forth talking about players and, arguing about who's better. And he would ask me about the game and how I prepare, how I train. And we became fast friends.
Like brothers that may have just met, but it's like they've known each other their whole lives. Their inside jokes make no sense. Sometimes they're talking and I don't understand anything they're saying, and they're cracking themselves up, and I'm like, you two are just you're geeks. Like, nobody thinks you're funny except you two.
Oh, let me start all over. Starting all over. We always had athletes come by and personalities, rock stars, movie stars.
I mean, the lines would be down the block. You couldn't get in. You could never get in, especially Grand Prix weekend. I mean, Montreal was just crazy nuts.
Going out with Mark Megna in Montreal was like amazing. It was like being part of a movie or a TV show. Mark was it. Like, he was very popular.
I mean, if you've seen how Mark looks, you can kind of figure out how it was, right? I mean, I was like the luckiest wingman ever. I mean,
and that's the thing that we did. When we walk in and out, I'll be honest with you, man, we was like rock stars, man.
He had, the hair down to his shoulders. You had, good looks.
Mark would come in and he's like Superman, so all the girls would be like, wow, like, who's this guy?
The Alouettes at the time, like, because they were so successful, like, as crazy as it sounds, like, they were bigger than the NHL team. And the NHL team is the Montreal Canadiens, which is one of the most historic franchises in sports. Every game was sold out. The team was very, very active in the community. And, Mark was a face of the franchise.
We get picked up and we're driving out and there's a billboard. And Mark's on the billboard. I mean, it's him. And I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. And here Mark is the face of the Alouettes. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And we just went to a place and, it was pretty crowded. And it was like the movie Goodfellas. Like, the people were moving tables and creating spots for us to sit. We were getting everything for free. Mark it was like walking through Green Bay with Brett Favre.
That's what people don't understand down here in the States. Is the fact that, up in Canada, those guys in their respective cities, they're superstars.
People wanted to talk to him. People wanted to take their picture with him. And he was always so nice about it. And it didn't matter if they were interrupting him or we were at dinner. He was always great about things like that.
Mark Megna is still a name up there. He can go into Montreal. They're going to know who he is.
I think we probably have the same record. We probably still have the record for consecutive sellouts. Like, you couldn't get tickets.
The stadium was jammed. Everybody was talking about the Owls. It was humongous.
We had Anthony Calvillo, who was a great quarterback, Ben Cahoon, our offense, man. They was like the best offense on turf, sort of like how the Rams were, back in the day.
Then there was all these other guys that Mark was hanging around with, Thomas Haskins, Anwar Stewart. They were all like joyful people that were like always like great energy. When they were here, they were like at the peak of the Owls, history.
First year, there were 400,000 people or something like that at the Grey Cup parade. We were on, the back of trucks, and it's the biggest Grey Cup parade that I've ever been involved with. Was in 2002.
He has, I think, you asked me something. I think he has a knack to weed out the good ones and the bad ones. And not a guy who needed 12 friends, maybe 3 friends, 4 friends, but super solid. I think that's his biggest thing. And, you surround yourself with good people, good things are gonna happen.
He led by example. When he needed to speak up, he would speak up. He wasn't necessarily the rah-rah guy, but he played with great emotion. He's a natural leader.
He's very appreciative of the people around him. And that was one thing that I recognized, where it was like, he recognized, the work I was doing. And, if I'm breaking down tape or I was drawing up practice cards and that type of thing, like, a leader like Mark, like, he saw that and he understood how that was like important to the team, and like where, my small role, where that fit in our overall goal of, winning a championship, and how it truly takes everybody to achieve a goal like that. He thanks you for that.
1 second never was wasted worrying about Mark Megna. You knew he was going to be on the bus. You knew he was going to do the right thing. You knew he was going to have the call. You knew he was going to communicate the call. You knew he was going to help make adjustments on the sideline. You knew he was going to give tremendous effort. You knew he was going to train and he was going to recruit a certain percentage of the other players around him.
I jumped in the air over an offensive player, and one of my teammates was pushed in the back and his head went through my knee in the air, and I tore everything in my knee.
He almost lost his leg. Hey, dude, it's really bad. So I go see him and I'm just like, man, what's going on? And finally, it took a while, to really get him back. And then as he's getting back, there's a shift. There's a shift in the front office.
I think he thought he was going to get an opportunity to kind of show that he could come back from it. And then I don't believe he was ever given that opportunity.
That was definitely a very, very tough moment for him. His mom was obviously back home, his brother was back home, and he was alone in Montreal.
The thing I didn't like about it is, man, we're family. We talk about how we're family. We've won so many games. We've helped change this program. This dynasty, we're working on some really good things here, and I'm just like, you don't turn your back on people, especially the ones that really help you and care for you. And one of the things that I found out about football is that you can love football, but football don't love you back. And it's cold, but that's sports and that's the business, right? And so the way they're treating was just, it wasn't right. It wasn't right at all.
When he left, people noticed, right? It definitely, Mark's hustle and how hard he worked on the field was at such another level that after he left, it was if we lost a game, especially from a fan's perspective, it was Megna might have made that play, or he might have recovered that fumble, or we need his energy, or we're the bench isn't at the same level of intensity. So, his departure was felt in a lot of different ways, and it's a reflection of who he is as a person and, what he brought to the team and the community.
My hips, everything was so shifted and I was in so much pain all day that I didn't know what was going to happen to me, if I would remain on the IR, or maybe it would just get better in a few more weeks. But in professional sports, they couldn't wait. So I was released, and that was a pretty dark time, because when I was released, I was hurt and I had no prospects of employment, and I still very much wanted to play football, but athletically, I didn't have the movement or the skills, and injuries had plagued me the last few years. And I just went to a very dark place, spending a lot of time alone and thinking about what am I going to do in my life when I've worked my entire life to play professional football. And it was very clear that had most likely come to an end, and I had to move quickly.